So I want to film some like long form skateboarding, but I live in London and it's winter, so the weather's been bleh. So I thought I'd show how I do grip tape art and graphics um, on like blank decks. Might be fun. So I got back into skateboarding over lockdown, and I'm a graphic and printed textile designer by trade. So I'll take any chance to be creative. Um, Skateboard graphics and art are such an integral part of the culture, and there's so many inspiring graphics that any skateboarder would be able to name. And I really love that that's like a accessible pathway into art and design for a lot of people. It's not highbrow or gatekeepy. So I started with a blank deck template that I created on Illustrator, traced around that and just created like a repeat that I then printed. And I did like a grip tape side and a graphic side for each of them, so they're all paired. And then just started sketching. I started with all the grip tape ideas. I'd seen like a lot of like Swampy's grip tape art that I really love, and I'd done like Cobweb and my heart one before that you can see in the video earlier. Um, and then yeah, that's just a few kind of rough ideas that I'll go back into afterwards, kind of flesh out once I've selected what I like. Also, I'll save a version of this PDF in the description so you can access it and have a go yourself as well. I tend to do a lot of hands and flowers. I guess I've painted a lot of flowers in my print design stuff for fashion. And it's always nice to draw from real life as well. So you'll notice they're all left hands because I'm using mine as a model. At the same time as doing this, I thought it'd be good to also do some designs digitally. So I grabbed some assets that I've got from kind of previous personal graphic work and kind of threw them on as well, just to see what kind of ideas sprouted and everything. I quite like this rose that I'd started using, but it's quite clean, so I definitely want to go in and kind of make it more handmade looking and everything. And I mean, obviously, I'm going to be doing this with POSCA pens and everything. So these are the initial ideas. They're always going to look a lot cleaner digitally. I'm not planning on printing these professionally or anything. But yeah, so some initial ideas like kind of framework one, and then just kind of playing around with the placement of flowers on this skull. See if I can get something nice from here. A little bit kind of zero graphic, but um, yeah, I think kind of varying success. I do prefer to sketch by hand first to get ideas down initially, just because it's so much quicker and so much more kind of malleable. It's a lot easier to get exactly what you want um, straight down on paper. So this is the final sheet of initial designs. It's really nice to see them all together and kind of pick out bits I like from each one. As I said, I have done the cobwebs and heart grip tape designs multiple times now, so it might be time for a change. Polka dot could be really fun. It's a lot easier to cut out for a start. Sometimes I get so bored, like a third of the way through, I have to take a break because it does get kind of monotonous. But yeah, in terms of graphics, I think it'll be a case of doing some more kind of development designs based on these initial ones and kind of go from there. But yeah, definitely florals from the looks of it. So once I was ready to move on to developing the design in more detail, I grabbed some old artwork and reference imagery. I found a few old graphics and like lino prints and stuff. Some were useful for floral references, others less so. Um, Although, yeah, maybe an idea for next time. And I do want to do something with that frog mascot. I actually completely forgotten about that. But yeah. Um, so yeah, I started drawing kind of larger scale sketches to plan out the details and the sizing for the piece. As you can see, I'm kind of using my hand again for reference, and then the florals and some real life flowers to sketch from. It's always best to draw from real life. Started doing a couple of layouts and combinations.
for the floral and the hand. I also like the chain detail, so figuring out ways to incorporate this in the design. I realized that the first two, a lot of the design is covered by the front truck belts, so I wanted to reframe it and scale it down slightly just so the flower is more visible. But yeah, I'm happy with that kind of layout. So yeah, onto grip tape. I wanted the grip design to be more subtle than I've had on previous decks. So I sprayed the top black so there's less contrast between that and the grip tape. I wanted to do it at this stage because, in case anything happens to the graphic, like the paint coming through or anything. While that was drying, I prepped the grip tape. I'm using mob and drawing circles onto the back before cutting it. I basically used any circular template because I want like a variety of sizes with the polka dots. And then yeah, I'll come back to that once I finish the graphic. So now it's time to sketch everything for the main graphic. Here I'm using black POSCA pen first to work out kind of spacing and sizing and everything. That's kind of helpful just because it doesn't really show up too much on black. It'll be really subtle and kind of covered by anything I then work over the top with. And I can use that as like a rough line work guide to work onto. Then it was just a case of putting white over the top to plot out like directional indication for kind of brush strokes on the petals, make everything feel a bit more 3D. Like that, especially on the hand, really helped to work through on the fingers and everything. Working on black is interesting because you're working in highlights. When usually on white paper you're doing the shadows, so you kind of have to work into areas you'd usually leave blank, and vice versa. Now that I'd kind of laid out that groundwork, I worked through everything with a grey pen and then a blue to create like a cool shadow and just add that dimensionality to the piece. So I added that blue to the hand and the chain, but I wanted the floral to be kind of a warmer, brighter tone and kind of be in contrast to those two pieces. So I worked on the leaves first just because they'll be kind of more background and did them kind of multi-tonal using the yellow to kind of add that warmth in the leaves and then work through everything with this like blush pink and then again using the red as like a warm mid-tone contrast. In previous designs, I've like sanded the wood or kind of spray painted onto it in like a frame shape, just to give it something for the paint to kind of adhere to. But POSCA pens do a really good job of like basically working on anything. I did just have to leave every layer for like a couple of minutes to dry, just to make sure I didn't smudge it with my hand. I also noticed on this side of the design when I was looking over it that it just felt a bit unbalanced, so I added the chain kind of carrying over around the back of the hand just to balance out the design a bit on both sides. Then I started adding white outline to basically the whole piece just to help it pop against the black background. I also added these white highlights just because colours tend to look a lot more vibrant against black, so I wanted to kind of pale it down a bit. But yeah, this is the final piece. So with that, I was kind of ready to go back onto the grip tape. So cut everything out, which took longer than expected again, and laid it out into kind of 4 size groups. The print designer in me was treating this like pattern design, so I wanted to start with the largest circles and lay out the rest around them. But I also wanted this to be a functional board for flip tricks, so I made sure to focus on the key areas of the concave. So yeah, there we go. I don't know if that's in frame. Done. Yeah, a fun one. Enjoyed that. Obviously, a lot more work than expected again, and I did get bored, and I did have lots of breaks, and this is filmed every few days because, yeah. But yeah, let me know your thoughts and any ideas you have that you'd want to see. I hope that helps. Enjoy. Bye.